I'll put Karen over here. Karen's here.
6 minutes until showtime.
That's awfully loud. Okay. Here's Karen.
Five minutes until showtime. Welcome to the show, folks, on Facebook and YouTube.
Welcome, welcome.
Four minutes until showtime.
Gosh, I hope you can't hear the birds out here.
Three minutes until showtime.
You back, Cher?
Yeah.
Okay.
There we go.
You were ball spinning. You were spinning. You were ball spinning. Hi, Shell. How are you? Hope you're doing good. Oh, I need to turn my phone off.
2 minutes until showtime.
Sound
All right,
test.
sound test.
Sound test.
Check one.
Good. Been doing more art. Good. We want to see your art.
How are we doing as far as echo? 1 minute until showtime.
Hello.
Hello.
I want to see your art, Shell. And then for those that want to call in, 323-870-3877. You can listen to us live on Blog Talk Radio or Rift Radio Network YouTube channel. Please subscribe and like the channel and share. So we have alternates if there seems to be an echo on Facebook.
Your show will go live in 5 seconds. 4, 3, 2, 1. Blog Talk Radio.
It's showtime, folks! Welcome to the Rift Radio Podcast Network, right here on Blog Talk Radio. With shows 6 days a week, Saturdays set aside for special events and Rift Nation. Join us as we produce the best on the net today. Be a part of the Rift Nation. Network intro by Robertson. Find Robertson Music today on Facebook and on YouTube. And now your featured show.
Charming, grand, elegant, and memorable are words guests used to describe Belgrove Plantation's bed and breakfast, located along the banks of the Rappahannock River in King George County, Virginia. Built in 1791, Belgrove Plantation was the birthplace of our fourth president and founding father, James Madison. This historic mansion features 4 luxurious master suites, with views overlooking the Rappahannock River and plantation. Spacious accommodations, fresh air, and breathtaking sunset views of the river and plantation await you. Whether you're looking for the perfect location for your wedding, anniversary, corporate retreat, seminar, or romantic getaway, Belgrove Plantation provides a year-round destination with unique venues and events. For more information on reservations, date availability, events, and scheduled tours, visit our website at www.belgroveplantation.com. or call 540-621-7340. Again, that's 540-621-7340.
Welcome to True Crimes, Mysteries Behind the Veil. And now your host of the evening, Joni Templeton Skinner, Christy Goins, and co-hosting Sherry Lynn.
Good evening. Happy Tuesday. Welcome to True Crime Mysteries Beyond the Veil. We are streaming live tonight from Blog Talk Radio with the Rift Radio Network, also streaming on our YouTube channel, the Rift Radio, and on our Facebook channel. So we have a lot of alternate platforms for you to be listening tonight. I hope everybody's having a great Tuesday evening. If you'd like to call in, we would love for you to come in, talk to us. The number is 323-870-3877, dial 1. I'm sure everybody will have information on our segment 1 mystery that Christy will be getting into on the Peterson case, because this is a very well-known case. It's on streaming all over all over, Chris, right? On different platforms.
Oh yeah, right now it's really hot right now.
So it's
Not
on
gonna come back.
Netflix, on I guess Hulu. She'll tell us all about it. But HBO, and she's going to give us all the details. So if you're seeing information regarding the Peterson case, Christy's going to go through everything with us tonight. So I'd like to introduce Christy Goines. She is a paraforensic expert and a clairvoyant. How are you, Miss Chris?
I'm doing okay. Got a little bit of a headache tonight, but other than that, I'm doing great.
Headaches are horrible. It's the weather. Blame it on the weather. Everything is the weather. It's always the weather.
Most definitely. How about yourself? How are you doing?
Good. Super. And we all know and love her. She is on every Monday evening at 9 p.m. with Haunted Tales. So grab your rocking chair on Monday evening and enjoy her. She's got a great show, by the way. So on Monday evenings, if you want to sit back and relax and just listen to some really good old stories. She has authors, does great interviews. Miss Sherry Lynn, how are you?
I'm doing good. I'm surviving this Virginia weather. If you don't like the weather, wait 5 minutes. It'll change.
It's humid. You will get the weather that we have right now. So tomorrow you're going to get a ton of humidity and storms, I guess. So you might get it.
Oh, yeah. That's what they're calling for.
You're going to get it. So welcome in the chat. We love your comments in the chat on Facebook. Again, please call in if you have any information on any of our cases this evening, or you just want to say hi in chat. 323-870-3877, dial 1 so that I know on the board that you want to talk to us. So with that being said, I would like to introduce Miss Christy so that she can get into this exciting Peterson. I kind of remember this case. It's an old case, and I kind of remember when it was going on. So, Christy, tell us about the Michael Peterson case.
Well, let me see if I can get to my slides here so we can start off a little bit. Okay, so it starts in Durham, North Carolina. It's on December 9th, 2001. It starts off with a call to 911, and Michael Peterson calls and says that his 48-year-old wife fallen down the stairs, and they asked him how many stairs. He said, 15 to 20, and that she was still breathing. Then the call disconnects. It's unknown whether he hung up or the call just dropped. A few minutes later, he calls back, says she's not breathing now. Then, a few minutes later, the paramedics arrive to discover Kathleen lying at the bottom of the service staircase. Now, this is different than the big staircase that's in the front of the home. This is the service staircase that's back by the kitchen. So they discover her, and there's a normally large amount of blood, and there's splatter and on the wall. And I think at that point, they're just trying to figure out if they can save her. They realize she's passed at that point. They look around. The story goes Michael was out with Kathleen that night at the pool. They had watched a movie earlier. They were drinking some wine, and she decided to go upstairs first, and he followed behind her. Not maybe like an hour or so later, he says, it ends up later, they find out they think it's 2 hours later. So he goes back into the home, and that's when he says he discovers her body at the bottom of the stairs. When he calls, he says that there's an accident, that she had an accident. It's kind of, he's trying to figure out how this happened. In the HBO special, they go into a lot of different possibilities. They go into all the potential things that could have happened instead of just giving the facts. They basically say, there are so many different options that could have happened. Like she could have tripped and fallen.
Right.
But the interesting thing is, they don't discuss that there is a chairlift on that staircase that has been partially removed. Now, I don't know if you guys are familiar with these stair lifts, but those rails are huge, and they usually have sharp edges. So they really don't even touch on that in the series so far that I've seen. So I think that's a real possibility that played a part in this, whether it was an accident or not was discussed. But additionally, another person said that it could have been an owl that attacked her when she went outside to put out some Christmas lights. Because remember, it was December. So that was an idea that they discussed. And apparently the owls in that area are somewhat aggressive and have been known to attack joggers and people that are around there, the baby owls. So this was the whole theory, because when they looked at Kathleen's head, she had 7 different lacerations on her skull. And it looked like, basically, she just had all these cuts in her head. And it was like, where did this come from? Could it have been from blunt force trauma, which is that's what the ME said? Or could it have been from an owl? Which his neighbor, Michael Peterson's neighbor, who also happened to be a lawyer, suggested that it was potentially from an owl attack, and that she could have gotten attacked in the front yard, went back into the house because she was bleeding profusely, because all head wounds bleed profusely.
Yeah.
Freaked out, went upstairs, and slipped and fell down the stairs. So that's another theory, which, it sounds wild, but as we know, sometimes, life is stranger than fiction. So then there's yet another theory that the prosecution tried to say that Michael had hit her with was it a blow poke for the fireplace?
Yeah.
But they could not find it. And so that theory was kind of their theory that they went with for quite a while, until they realized that it couldn't be that, because he actually found it later, turned it into them, and it had cobwebs on it. It was dirty. It had obviously not been used in an attack, because it would have been mangled. Right. I don't know if you've seen some of these things that you use for the fireplace, but they're not that heavy. And if you're going to beat somebody with it, there's going to be marks on it. And apparently this one was lightweight. So they ruled that out. But not until they had really, I think the jury was somewhat convinced that it was some sort of blunt force trauma. So, like I said, going back, the ME did say that it was blunt force trauma, but could not determine whether or not it was consistent with a fall down the stairs. So, they were trying to figure out, the police were trying to figure out whether or not it was a purposeful, like if it was a homicide or if it was actually husband at this point. He hasn't been charged. This was like around the 13th. She is buried that day. And then around the 18th, Michael hires a lawyer that basically people who are guilty hire this lawyer, from what the story goes. And at this point, like I said, he had not been charged yet. So not too long after that, I think it was the 20th, he was actually indicted on first-degree murder charges. And he went to Durham PD and surrendered there. What was that, Jody?
I just said, wow, that they indicted him that quickly.
It was pretty quickly. It was a high-profile case. Yeah.
The service staircase that had the chair lift on it.
Mm-hmm.
Was she handicapped?
No, I think it was for a previous owner. I mean, that house was older. I mean, it was like $1.5 million mansion. I don't think it was theirs. I think it was out of commission at that point. It had been partially removed, so the chair part I don't think was there. From the photos that I saw a black rail down the side.
Okay.
Yep. My question would be, did they use that? Did they use that staircase? Did they use that? I'm with you, Sherry,
I don't
thinking,
think they used the chair, as far as I know.
but if it was a service
But I think
staircase,
they use that staircase quite often.
did they use it? Because there would be another staircase around, right?
Yeah, the big ornate staircase is the main staircase in the front of the house. But if you're in the kitchen, the back staircase would be the service staircase.
Right.
That would be closer for you to go upstairs. So chances are, there's two different options to go up the stairs. So I would guess, depending on which room they were in, they would use that staircase because they wanted to get upstairs.
Yeah.
It's been said that the service staircase was a little bit more narrow than, because the other staircase is quite ornate and it's wide. But as far as service staircases go, I want to say they said it was somewhere like 48 inches, which is a pretty wide staircase. I mean, a lot of staircases are more narrow than that. So, it's debatable. But when you put that lift in there, that causes, she was supposedly wearing flip-flops too when she went up the stairs. So the other point was she apparently had, that's the problem. This house is actually being lived in. So I haven't seen a floor plan that's readily available. There are actually people living in the home. And, but anyway, getting back to the staircase. Now I've lost my place.
Oh, well, I think it's interesting. I think,
Width, and once you have that chairlift in there, it would.
Yeah, but
you wouldn't have
that's
that.
The thing is
Frequent.
they said the chair was taken out, so it was just the rail. But she also apparently had been on some muscle relaxers and Valium, and also was drinking alcohol that night.
okay.
Later, they said that it was not enough in her system to cause her to be intoxicated. But we know that if you're tired, it's actually worse than being drunk.
Right.
And I don't know about you, but I have fallen up the stairs quite a few times, just walking, much less falling down them. Done that too. So definitely, and in flip-flops, that for me, that's just a method of, disaster. So it's a potential incident there.
Bouncing off of walls and off of rivets and railing and everything else could definitely, if you're trying to stop and catch yourself,
right?
Depending
and
on
she did have
were the
bruises.
stairs carpeted or were they wooden or,
It was wood. It was wood.
Well,
All the way down those stairs, it was wood. And there was some trim, and then also you had that, you had the chair rail at the bottom as well.
Okay.
And
yeah,
the
so that
stairs
could potentially
actually
cause.
Yeah.
take the corner. So you're coming straight down the stairs, and then it's a little bit of a corner at the end. So they did say that she could potentially have fallen backwards after she'd only gone up a few steps and hit the back of her head on the corner, like at an angle, and would have hit her skull.
Sure.
And potentially might not have hit it hard enough to split it, but could have definitely knocked herself silly, for sure. Maybe
It
that
certainly makes one wonder, why would you hire a lawyer?
I would always, because I've been in the legal business for 20 years, and I would hire a lawyer. That's the first thing I would do. Even, I mean, as innocent as I would be, that's exactly what I would do anytime, immediately, no questions asked. I would get a lawyer first thing I would do.
Well, I mean, this is the interesting thing too, is once they got into the trial, they discovered that, I forget how many years back it was, but quite a few years back, when he was living in Germany with his first wife, another woman that he knew, named Liz, she died from falling down the stairs.
Interesting.
And he was the last to see her. So, of course, immediately, I'm sure everyone's looking at him like, this can't possibly be a coincidence. They say things like, lightning doesn't strike twice in the same place. Well, we know it does. But, what are the chances that this actually happened twice? Somebody that he knew previously, that wasn't his wife, his first wife is still alive. And, but this was a neighbor that they knew in Germany. And she had children. They had children when they were in Germany. They were both of the husbands were military. And then their neighbor who fell down the stairs actually ended up, her husband died. So she needed their help, and they were very helpful to her. Michael and his first wife, I want to say her name's Patty. They were helpful. They would, he would do tasks for her, come around because her husband had passed. And it sounded like they were great friends. But what's interesting is she also died at the bottom of the stairs. And he apparently was the last person to see her. The nanny came in the next morning and found this lady, Liz Ratliff, which was a friend of theirs previously, dead. And they determined that it was a brain aneurysm. And that's why she fell down the stairs. So in the new trial, they went ahead and exhumed her body and looked at it again. The ME said that the wounds on her head were very similar to the ones that Kathleen had. So immediately, they're zeroing in on that. And they also went ahead and said that, it was probably blunt force trauma and not a brain aneurysm. But what I discovered later is they did not talk about the fact that a piece of the brain from this lady was missing. So whether or not that was the part of the brain that had the aneurysm in it and it was removed for identification is not known. So that's a curious thing. I mean, could it have been a legitimate accident for his wife? Maybe. Could this woman have really died from a brain aneurysm? Sure. What are the chances that both of them died at the bottom of the stairs and he was in close proximity?
So after he was indicted, did he stand trial, and was he convicted of his wife's murder?
Yes,
Okay.
indeed he did. He did stand trial.
Okay.
And he was indicted, and he was in jail for a very long time. I think it was about was it 2002 to 2011? He ended up getting granted another trial after he spent quite a few years in prison because the judge said that there was some misleading testimony. So he was granted another trial, I think it was in 2011, after he'd already been in jail this whole time and found guilty. So 2017 rolled around. It was 6 years later. He still had not had his trial yet. So he decided to take an Alford plea, which is basically he did not admit that he was guilty, but he still said he was innocent, but he pretty much agreed that the defense probably had enough to convict again. So this allowed him to get out of prison by basically saying he was guilty of manslaughter. And at that point, the judge had said, "You've already spent enough time in jail," and they let him out.
Yeah, because Alford plea would be is time served. It's time served. Right. So he got out by pleading on a homicide, but he had already done the time. So that's what I would have done too. That's crazy.
Yeah. And the whole time, like that, his family, his children, the children that he adopted from the lady who died, they stood behind him. His children from his first marriage, his son, stood behind him. The only person who did not stand behind him was Kathleen's biological daughter. She did not, from her previous marriage. She went against them for the defense. Or, excuse me, for the prosecution. Sorry.
Well, this is a case where
he adopted the children from the woman, the first woman who passed away, which made him the benefactor of her estate.
Potentially, if there was anything there.
I wonder if they were having
family.
Financial.
Passed, she would have gotten whatever. Now with this second,
and that's an interesting point because no one really brought that up.
Was there an increase of insurance on Kathleen?
Yes, there was a pretty big life insurance policy for her if she had an accidental death.
Was he romantically involved with the first lady, or was it just a family friend?
Well, there have been theories about that, but everybody seems to agree that they were just friends.
Okay.
But Michael Peterson also hurt his case because he was known to have lied about some things. Like he said, when he was in Vietnam, he had won certain medals that he had not won. And so once they discovered that he lied about that, they basically could prove that he lied about other things, or people could assume that. And then they discovered he had a different lifestyle. He posited that they had an open marriage. Everybody seemed to think that they were a very happy couple. So it was hard to determine, who's lying, who's not, and because everybody had, this is a motive, but they said there really was no motive, but they were like over $100,000 in debt, and he was only going to make $10,000 from his book sale. So they were still in debt pretty bad at that point. So a lot of folks seem to think that he could have potentially murdered her for the money.
For insurance. Well, that's interesting. And then,
Right.
now what show is popular right now with this that people can tune in and see on cable networks that they're covering this?
It's called The Staircase. There's a documentary that was done previously,
Interesting.
and I'm not sure where that one is, but I know the new one is called The Staircase as well, and that has Colin Firth playing Michael Peterson. And he does a good American accent in it. You can't tell that he's British at all. And I mean, it was weird seeing him in that role because I think Colin Firth always plays the nice guy. It was very hard to see him in that. But it's a good series. It will really make you wonder what happened. By the time you're done watching it, you won't know which end was up.
It's interesting.
Whether you're really going to start to believe maybe it was an accident. He did do it.
I'm leaning towards an accident, but I don't know. I have to check into it and see. I think it's very possible that it could possibly have been an accident. I don't know how, but I know that Dr. Lee did the splatter evidence in the trial, who is world renowned. He just doesn't miss with splatter. And he said it was murder. So I think that probably would sway a jury. He's world renowned.
Yeah. Now, ironically, what's really wild is there actually was a case in the UK, and the blood splatter was almost identical. It was an elderly lady who had fallen out of her lift chair.
Wow.
Ironically. And she had hit the bottom of the stairs. There was blood splatter everywhere. And she was 93 years old. It killed her as well.
Yeah.
Her family's suing I think it's the lift chair company for her death. But the blood splatter, looks eerily similar. So much so that it really gave me pause.
Yeah.
That's
whether or
interesting.
not that could have been what happened.
Well, thank you for that's interesting.
The other thing is, I think it's, what's that?
I said it's an interesting story.
Yeah, and I think it's Caitlin, the daughter, Kathleen's biological daughter, also sued for monetary damages as well. So if he tries to make money off of books or anything or his story, she's just going to end up getting it.
Good. That's interesting. Well, thank you for that, Chris. That was interesting. I'm going to check it out. I'm going to check into it.
Yeah.
That's very interesting.
Oh,
Cher, will you put the slides up?
Session.
Oh, did you do a ghost session?
I did Spirit Box session.
Okay.
And ironically, like I said, I don't know what happened, and I never even considered the word that I got twice. Once was pushed, and once was pushed back. And I never even considered the fact that she could have been pushed from any angle and could have caused a fall.
Right.
So that was an interesting thing. And there was also a message about not his daughter. Don't know what that's supposed to mean, but it could mean a lot of things. Sherry, you look like you're thinking something.
Not his daughter.
The daughter who's not standing up for him.
But it was it's her daughter. It's her maternal daughter, not his.
Right.
There you go.
Right, and maybe she has the right idea. Maybe that's idea.
Could
And I
be.
just found that was very interesting, and to me, that was a pretty clear response.
That's very clear.
That was very clear. Yeah.
It's interesting. Interesting. Okay. Did you get anything else from that? Any other clues?
That's all I got. That's all she
Okay.
wrote.
That's interesting. Very well. Thank you for that. I'm going to check out that story as well. Tonight, everyone,
Yeah.
I want to bring this to everybody's attention, and especially folks in the Hanover, Richmond, Virginia area. You have a missing person. She's a missing adult. Her name is Karen Louise Ryan. She was seen last on May 25th, 2022 at her residence, and the address is 6600 block of Rural Point Road in Hanover, Virginia. She was last spoken to by phone on May 26, 2022. She was reported missing by her family on May 28th. She is a white female, 5'6", 212 pounds, with brown hair and brown eyes. Karen has literally disappeared out of nowhere. Just boom, gone from Hanover. If anybody is in this area around Rural Point Road, up or down, please check your home cameras. Please check for cars leaving, cars coming in. And if anybody has any information on Karen, the number is 804-365-6260. That's Hanover Police. Hopefully we will be able to get more information from the family and possibly come on next week. But for now, the important thing is to get the information out that she is indeed missing. She does not have her phone nor her car. And so she could be on foot.
Her cane was left behind. Her phone was left
we
behind.
don't know. So please, if anybody has any information regarding Karen Ryan, please contact the Hanover Police and keep the family in your prayers. Everybody, it's just so hard when someone goes missing and there's literally no information whatsoever. A family member spoke with her in the evening, on Thursday evening around allegedly around 6 p.m. and that's it. She has not been seen since. So please contact the police, check your cameras, check everything to help in this investigation. So that just keep them in your thoughts and keep an eye out for in the area. And I will put her missing poster up, by the way, her missing poster on Mysteries, True Crime Mysteries Beyond the Veil on the Facebook page. So please share that out as well, too, because a lot of these missing posters get shared out and somebody could have seen her. You know, we just don't know. So, but the second segment, the case that we have tonight is pretty interesting. I have never really worked a case this old. Isabella Skelton is from Crumpsale, Manchester, England. And she went missing. She's been missing since June 6th, 1969 from Manchester. And her granddaughter that's her daughter, but her granddaughter contacted me and said, can you help find my grandma? Well, that's a long time. So Google Maps are out. They don't work. So trying to get around the maps and how the area and the terrain changes and that length of time is pretty difficult. So we had psychics work on it. We have information and, you know, I mapped it, but apparently the children went to bed. She had 3 children. The children went to bed in the evening. She was a working married mother of 3. She went to bed in the evening The children did not see her. They have never seen her since. She would be in her 80s today. So her daughter is looking for her along with the grandchildren. So we gave it a shot. And, a shout out to any of, I know clairvoyants listen to the show. If you guys get any clues from looking at any information on Isabella Skelton, the BBC picked this up, the Daily Mail picked it up, the Globe and the Sun have picked this up because in April of 2021, the police reopened this case. The police reopened a case this old. So the family wants answers, rightfully so. And we are digging out old maps, but just from some of the clues that we do indeed have, and I'll go over some of the clues in the information because we have zero information. She went to bed. Nobody saw her. There are no witnesses. She was 35 years old with 3 children. That's it. In 1969 in Manchester, England. So clues, the psychic clues are a wall. Very intelligent, multi-skilled, and family. Spirit box clues always been here. Scotland, when she was asked, where were you born? Scotland. And she was born on January 21st, 1934. So the they're pretty hard to read, but paraforensics information was April. Somebody, a coat. Typical, your, available, track, mean, wrote, and done. Now, and remember too, when a clairvoyant gets clues, they are one word. They're usually 1 or 2 words. They are not, when a clairvoyant works on a case, you're not going to hear, well, Isabella walked out the front door and turned left and walked 3 blocks and made a right. That's not how the clairvoyance works when people work cases. You will get 1 or 2 or 3 words. So the tedious part of when a clairvoyant takes a case on, they have to get in front of a map, then they research the case, and then the work starts. Actually, the easy part is getting the clues. The hard part is when you have to match and try to match up a lot of these clues to the case. And 9 times out of 10, they do. A puzzle. It's like a big puzzle. And some additional clues were water, gambling, M name, trailer, COL, name of a road or town, trees, grass, neighbor, and glen. So as you can see and hear, everybody that works on the cases that are clairvoyants, it's a word. It's not, she went down the street, or she stopped at the gas station, or turn. You might get a turn right, but you're not going to get turn right and the pond is off to the right and to the left and up. It's 1 or 2 words. It's very tedious work to do cases. Now, as far as the astrology is concerned, I had to use a modern map. We did not have a timestamp. We did know, from her granddaughter that the children went to bed and they didn't see mom. So I used 9 o'clock. Normally kids go to bed 9, 10 o'clock at night, especially back then they did. So there were, in the Manchester area, there were some interesting areas that popped up on the astrology. And there was a wedge that showed a wooded area that I marked. And I said, hey, what have y'all got to lose in the Salford area in England? check this area out. There was also, and then what I'll do is I'll compare what the psychics give me as well as clues. Water was a clue. So I look for water. And sure enough, right at the radius, there was a pond. Again, check that. So this is going to be, and like I said, going back to 1969, I'm going to have to pull up and look through some older maps as well. So I found an app and I've got older maps. So as you can see with the astrology, you get different wedges, different areas of interest that you can look at for a missing person, especially from 50 years ago. So, but that's that case. And if anybody, like I said, we are asking all of our clairvoyants that do listen into the show to please, if you do get any clues, the family needs help, and we can all work together and try to get them some clues and help them find their missing grandmother. Don't know if she's alive. She would be in her 80s. Her husband, Grandpa, is still alive. But that's all we do know. So we'll try to help our friends out in England with Isabella's case. It's an interesting case. I mean, you can look up and there's not a whole lot of articles out there because we just don't have the information. I think it's an interesting case to go back and map this on an old map. So when I do that, I'll post it on here and show everybody what an old map looks like. So I thought that was pretty interesting. So, Sherry Lynn, do you have anything to say about Isabella's case or Peterson case?
Well, I don't want anybody to give up hope on Isabella because it was not that long ago, maybe last year, year before last, that they had a conviction for a woman who was murdered with no body. And they got a conviction, and she had been murdered 20 or 25 years earlier. And they got a conviction with no body ever being found. So
never give up hope. Well, the thing is, when it's 13 years, 14 years, this is 50. So a lot of things have changed, and a lot of the area has changed too around Manchester. I mean, it's a long time, and I have to give the families a lot of credit for continuing to look and not giving up, and for the police as well, because they reopened this case, and I admire that they went through the old home that they lived in for 2 weeks and did a lot of forensic testing inside of the home. And they didn't find anything, but I admire the police for opening it after 50 years. I think it's wonderful.
Yeah, I mean, how much the landscape has changed in 50 years is just unbelievable. I mean, you think about population growth in areas and places that used to be rural are no longer rural. Right. So it does impact the case and make it a lot more difficult to search.
It does. But, I think it's wonderful. We will keep trying. I'm going to upload an old map from 1970, and I will remap this and send it on to him, because and with all the clues, you never know, something will stick or something will look familiar. It might not be familiar to us, but we will certainly give it a try. And they can check out these other areas as well. So,
yeah. Now, Joni, talking about the map, is there any place significant that has a name that you think is an area to search for our listeners?
Well, because it's over in England, they're over in Manchester.
Yeah. Well, there's some listeners
right. Sure. the Maurice Drive area, the Charles Street, but I'm going to redo this with an older map because of the fact that I could say that this, it could be I could say like Bramwood Road, but what was it back then? We just don't know. So,
Penny,
so there we are, like around
my poodle was going into a room she wasn't supposed to go into.
Branwood Road in Manchester. That's a good area. So, but good luck. Good luck to the family.
I think her work experience too. I question whether or not her work had anything to do with it. So,
and who knows? And she would be in the 80s. But the thing is, it would be very difficult too for investigators to go back and even question people that she worked with or what company, because is the company even still there? So, I mean, I give them credit for opening this up and really going after it and trying to investigate, because what are the odds of the company still being even there? I think it's very interesting. Super interesting. Sure they do.
I guess one of the other things too is she hasn't collected any of her retirement or anything. So that makes people wonder, was she in the area, or did she leave the UK, or something happened to her?
Don't know. We will keep everybody updated on that story. It was an interesting story, and also keep you guys posted on Karen Ryan, who's missing in Hanover. And Sherry Lynn, where can our listeners find you?
Monday nights on Haunted Tales, and Tuesdays hanging out here with you lovely ladies, and last Saturday of the month with your crazy self. And this weekend, my paranormal team, I was contacted, very honored and humbled to have been contacted by the Trevelyan Station Battlefield group, and they've asked us to come out and do a investigation. And this is the anniversary weekend of the battle at Trevelyan Station. It's the largest cavalry battle of the Civil War. Over 2,500 acres, 4 to 5 buildings. Some are residents' homes that are experiencing apparitions and things on their property. This is the first time they've ever had a paranormal group come out, and I was very honored that they reached out to me and to have them come out. So I've got a small group. We're going out. We're doing the investigation Saturday and Saturday night on the battlefield, which most of it is wooded. And then Sunday, it's for the public to come out 12 to 4, Trevelyan Station in Louisa. And we'll be doing a presentation of any evidence that we may or may not find.
Okay,
but they have been having a lot of experiences there.
That's Louisa, Virginia, right? Louisa, Virginia?
Yep, Louisa, Virginia.
So if you are in that area, it's Sunday at what time?
Sunday from 12 to 4. It'll be public. We'll be giving the presentation. We'll probably do a couple of live Saturday.
Cool.
While we're out.
Well, definitely go
Saturday,
in.
They're going to have an open house.
Okay.
Saturday, they'll have an open house from 12 to 4 for people to come in, and then we'll be setting up after that.
Interesting. We'll go and hit like on the Facebook page. Yeah, go hit like on the Facebook Rift Radio Facebook page so that when they're coming on with their lives, you'll get notification and you'll see them out possibly doing some ghost hunting and having a good time and investigations.
Or with our team, SOS Seekers of Spirits of Virginia.
Sure. Well, that's wonderful.
That's our team. So, or look for me online or something. You'll find me.
Keep us posted. We want to hear what happened on Tuesday. Keep us
Unless
posted.
I get lost in the woods.
We'll have to get some canines out after you. I'm not looking. And Chris, where can people find you and info that you're up to?
Well, I'm here on Tuesdays, and also my jewelry page, Christie's Gems, and doing real estate. So you can find me on Facebook.
And look up Christie's Gems. And then next week, I wanted to let people know too that in the true crime community, and I know everybody that is a true crime person knows about the Delphi murders in Delphi, Indiana. Recently, a warrant and an affidavit was released. Next Tuesday, I'm going to go through what the old clues that we have had for many, many years on Delphi and what some of the other information that we've gotten on Delphi, because of the fact what's happening now is what is unfolding with that we know now that the girls were catfished, and we know some of the other information on the Delphi murders is now coming out from clues from about 5 years ago. So it's interesting information. Needs to come out, and I mean they're moving along in this investigation, and I think they're going to have an arrest soon. So we're going to bring you that next week. And with that, thank you for listening, everybody. Thank you for tuning in. We appreciate you. Drop us a line, and we will.
If you're in the Hanover County, Virginia area, please get in touch with Hanover County Sheriff's Office. If you know anything or have seen anything, or you can PM me if you are concerned about keeping private or anything like that. But they are asking the public for help.
Right.
And she's got family that is concerned about her. And she went missing, and we need to find her.
Okay. We're on it.
Family needs to find her.
We are on it. So have a super week, everybody.
Eyes and ears are on it.
All righty. Have a great week, girls. Thank you.
You too. Thank
you. You
This
too.
has been a Rift Radio podcast presentation. Catch all the shows throughout the week. Sunday, The Orion Effect. Monday, on a Tales from the Rocking Chair. Tuesday, True Crimes, Mysteries Behind the Veil. And on Wednesdays at this time, Evenings with Dr. Manfred, with Saturdays set aside for special events. We think.
Good night.
Night, everyone.
Night. Have a great week. Thank you.
Good night.
Thank you for using Blog Talk Radio. Goodbye.